In a world painted in shadows, where hope seemed erased by cruelty, one man decided not to stay silent. His name was Oskar Schindler. To the Nazis, he was a businessman. To history, he became something far greater, a lifeline in the middle of one of humanity's darkest storms. Imagine this tale told through stick figures, simple lines, yet carrying the weight of life and death. It's a story about risk, compassion, and the unbelievable power of choices. At first, Schindler was no hero. He was charming, ambitious, and hungry for profit. When war broke out, he saw opportunity. Factories, contracts, money. He knew how to win favors with German officers. To them, he was an ally, a useful friend. To himself, he was just playing the game. But slowly, behind those eyes, something began to change. Because in his factory, the workers were not just names on paper. They were human, families, souls on the edge of extinction. The Holocaust was a nightmare beyond comprehension. 6 million Jewish lives targeted for annihilation. Whole communities erased. The Nazis turned people into numbers, into shadows. You'd see endless lines of faceless figures marching toward a void, the world stripped of color. But among that sea of despair, Schindler's factory became an island, a fragile refuge. He realized that every worker he hired was one less name on a transport list to death. At first, it was subtle. He padded the payroll with more names, claiming he needed extra hands for production. He bribed officers, shuffled paperwork, made excuses. Each lie, each forged stamp was like a shield. In animation, you could picture Schindler juggling papers, pushing guards away with a sly grin, hiding terrified figures behind him. He was playing a dangerous game, but for the first time, not for himself, for them. The deeper the war went, the higher the stakes rose. Soldiers grew suspicious. Why did his factory always need more workers? Why were so many deemed essential when others were being sent to camps? Yet Schindler didn't back down. He spent his fortune, everything he gained, buying lives. Gold, bribes, gifts, all poured into the pockets of those in power. Imagine coins falling from his hands in animation, turning into sparks of light that shielded men from a looming darkness.
He wasn't alone. His Jewish accountant, Itzhak Stern, became his closest ally. Stern was the one who helped compile the list. A list that wasn't just ink on paper. It was existence, survival, a future. The list could glow like a scroll of light in a black and white world, each name shining as if refusing to be erased. Behind each word was a beating heart, a family, a story saved. When the Nazis ordered mass deportations, Schindler fought harder. His workers were declared essential, producing munitions for the war. But here's the twist. His factory produced almost nothing useful. Bullets that didn't fire, shells that failed. You'd see assembly lines of men making weapons that crumble into harmless dust. It was sabotage wrapped in survival. By keeping his workers useful, he kept them alive. The risk was unimaginable. If caught, he would be executed as a traitor. But Oskar Schindler didn't stop. He knew that every sunrise his workers saw was a victory. Every child laughing in secret, every meal shared in the shadows was defiance. In a world built to erase them, simple survival became the loudest rebellion. The world would show him shielding dozens with his frame, a single figure against a tidal wave. By the end of the war, Schindler had saved over 1,200 Jewish men, women, and children. Think about that. One man, against a system designed to destroy millions, carved out a pocket of humanity. In animation, you'd see lines of stick figures holding hands, walking out of the shadows, the darkness shrinking behind them. It wasn't an army. It wasn't a battle. It was compassion weaponized against hate. But Schindler himself, when the Nazis fell, he was broke. He spent everything he had. The man who once lived in luxury ended the war with nothing but gratitude from those he saved. And maybe that's the ultimate irony. He gained no wealth, no power, no monuments in his lifetime, yet his actions built a future where thousands of descendants live today.
The legacy of Schindler isn't about perfection. He wasn't flawless. He was a gambler, a drinker, a man of contradictions. And maybe that's why his story matters even more. Because it reminds us, you don't need to be perfect to do what's right. You don't need to start as a hero to become one. Even a flawed man, at the right moment, can bend history toward mercy. Picture the final scene. A blank world, empty of color. Slowly, names begin to appear on screen. Each name becomes a figure. Each figure holds the hand of another. Soon, the frame overflows with life, thousands of humans filling the void. Above them, a single line of text glows. Whoever saves one life saves the world entire. It's not just history. It's a reminder, a warning, and a promise. Schindler's story isn't only about what happened then, it's about what we choose now. In a world still plagued by hate, division, and indifference, the lesson is sharp and clear. One person can make a difference, even when the odds scream otherwise. Even when the world seems too big, too broken, the question is, will we? This storytelling makes that choice simple. One line stands, or it erases. When the survivors of Schindler's List look back, they don't just remember a man in a suit. They remember laughter stolen back from death, meals shared in silence, mothers rocking babies who should have been lost but weren't. The animation could bring these emotions alive through simple, honest visuals. Shaking lines, glowing tears, children holding tiny flowers. Fragile but unbroken. And today, those survivors' descendants number in the thousands. Entire communities, families, and futures that would never have existed without that single decision to resist. In this part, that could be shown as a tree growing out of the ground, its branches filled with countless figures, spreading upward toward the light. A visual metaphor that what one man planted in the soil of suffering blossomed into generations of hope.
Schindler did not stop the war. He didn't end the Holocaust. He didn't topple a regime. But to the people he saved, he was the world. And maybe that's the heart of the story. Change doesn't always look like grand victories. Sometimes it looks like quiet protection. Sometimes it looks like holding back the tide just enough for others to breathe.
Look, Tang. This is where we need to focus our efforts. The situation is critical here.
In a time where cruelty was law, compassion was rebellion, Oskar Schindler proved that the smallest gestures, signatures, bribes, lies told for good, could become shields stronger than steel. In this form, you'd see his figure casting a shadow bigger than himself, blocking arrows, bullets, flames, all while barely standing. That's what heroism looks like when the world collapses. The Holocaust scarred humanity forever, but it also revealed stories like this, stories that whisper, there is still light. This animation makes it easier for us to watch, to understand, without softening the truth. It strips away the noise and shows us the raw choice, cruelty or compassion, erasure or survival. And when we see it through simple lines, the lesson is even sharper. No excuse, no complexity, just right or wrong. So here's the message. You don't need power to change lives. You don't need armies or crowns or wealth. You just need courage to care when it matters most. Oskar Schindler wasn't a saint. He wasn't destined for greatness. But when faced with horror, he chose humanity. And because of that, generations lived. This storytelling lets us feel that truth with every frame. Because sometimes the simplest lines draw the deepest stories. And when the final credits roll, we remember not just Oskar Schindler, but the people he saved. Figures that turn into real names, real faces, real families. This isn't only a film or a legend, it's a reminder carved into history, a story to carry forward. Because saving a single future doesn't just save one life, it saves us all.